Good evening, and welcome to Netzach Yisrael's daily Kitzur Shulchan Aruch share. Tonight we're going to be continuing with Siman Kuf Mem Aleph 141 Hilchos Megillah, the laws of the reading of the Megillah on the day of Purim. But tonight we're going to be starting from Seif Vav, Seif 6. So Purim. On Purim, the Haynu B'Yom Yutalad, that is on the 14th day of the month of the Jewish month of Adar, or in the case of a leap year of a Jewish month of Adar Sheni, the second added month of Adar. Arvis Shacharis and Mincha, then in the evening prayers on the night between the 13th and the 14th, because in the Jewish calendar the night comes before the day, so the new day starts, i.e. Purim will start at sunset. And therefore the evening prayers, and then the morning prayers on the 14th, and the afternoon prayers on the 14th. Oimim al Hanisim, then one says then one adds the prayer during the silent Shemona Esrei, the silent prayer of al Hanisim, this prayer about on the miracles and we give thanks for the miracles of Purim. If someone forgot to say this al Hanisim prayer, the laws are the same laws that apply if one forgot it. If one forgot this prayer during the festival of Hanukkah, which we learned about above in Siman Kuf Lamed Tes 139. Seif Zayin 7. Chayav kol adam, each person is obligated bein isha, whether man or woman, l'shmoa kriyas Megillah b'layla u'vayom, to hear the reading of the Megillah by night and by day. So once by night and once by day. And therefore, also the young girls, should go to the synagogue, and if they do not go, then one needs to read for them in the house. And also the young children, or the ones that are minors and below the Jewish age of majority, so 12 for girls, 13 for boys. One needs to teach them that they should listen to the reading of the Megillah. Nevertheless, one should not bring too many children to the synagogue, because they disrupt the attention that the listeners should be giving to the person reading this Megillah, and therefore one should be careful not to bring too many children, because again there's an obligation that each person has to hear the entire Megillah. And this Megillah that we read, by the way, just as a side point, just in case is we read through the book of Esther. Right. So Seif Ches, Seif 8. The Megillah Shalayla, the Megillah that is read by night. Also, it is forbidden to read it before the time that the stars are visible. That is, before the time that 3 stars are visible in the sky, or would be. Obviously, if you can't see them in a certain case, it's cloudy or whatever, then the time that they would be visible. Even though people are in a lot of kind of pain and they've just been fasting the day before, and therefore they're very hungry, even so you don't you should wait until even after sunset and until you can actually see the stars before reading the Megillah. This is because ideally one should not eat anything before hearing the Megillah. But one is able to taste something before reading the Megillah. For example, coffee, and something similar to that. In order to strengthen oneself a little bit from the weakness that was brought on by the fast. Obviously, each person should take their own circumstances into consideration, and if necessary, consult a rabbinical authority. Seif Tes 9. Mitzvah Hamuvchot is the best form of performing this positive commandment. L'shma kriyas Megillah b'beis hakneses, to eat to hear the reading of the Megillah in the synagogue, but a place where there are many men. Nishum, because there is a principle of that with a multitude of people, the king, i.e. God, is given glory. And we want to read the Megillah in the way, because the whole idea of reading the Megillah is to publicize the hidden miracles that God did for us then, and still does for us. And so we want to publicize it in the best way possible, i.e. to the biggest number of people possible. So therefore, the more people that one can get for this Megillah reading, the better it is. And at least one should try to at least be able to hear it or read it where there is a quorum of 10 men. If it is for whatever reason, impossible to read it with a quorum, each person should read it individually from a kosher Megillah, one that is written on with ink on parchment in the traditional way. Should read it. Each person should read it themselves in with the blessings that come before it. If one person knows how to read the Megillah, but the other people don't know how to read the Megillah, because this one should read it, who knows how to read it, and the other people will listen, and they will and they can fulfill their commandment, even though there are not 10 people there. So even if there's only 2 people there, for example, and one knows how to read the Megillah, then that one can read the Megillah. Second person just listens, and they both fulfill their obligations. However, so anyone can say, even if you're doing it by yourself, can say the blessings before it. However, the blessings that are said after reading the Megillah, one does not say them only if there are 10 people there. Without mentioning God's name, then even a single person can say the blessings after the reading of the Megillah, but this single person cannot say God's name or mention God's kingship in this blessing, because that can only be done if there's a quorum of 10 men. Sifiyot 10. Minhag b'chol Yisrael, there is a custom in all of Israel, that the person who reads it does not read from a Megillah that has been rolled up, because it is done in a parchment, because it's written on the parchment, and it's written on a very long strip of parchment, and therefore normally it is stored rolled up, as in like a scroll. But for actual reading of the Megillah, we do not read it from its kind of this. Supposed to unscroll it a bit, read it, and then just keep scrolling through it. And I'll push it also. One opens it up in its entirety, and then one folds it, one column on top of another column, like a letter. Because it is called Igeras HaPurim, the letter of Purim. If someone is listening to it, but is using a Megillah, and is using one of these Megillahs to follow along to the person whom he is listening to, in that case, that person does not need to do this with their Megillah. They can just scroll through it in the usual way. If Yud Aleph. Megillah, someone who reads the Megillah, whether by day or by night. One blesses before reading the Megillah 3 blessings. The first one is Al Mikra Megillah. One makes a blessing thanking God for His commandments and praising God for His commandments to read the Megillah. And then the next blessing is She'oso Nisim. We bless God and thank God for all that He did, miracles with our forefathers and with us, both in those days in history and with us nowadays. And we also make the blessing of Shechionu, and we thank God for having kept us alive up until this point when we are able to fulfill this new commandment. And after them, one that then goes along to read the Megillah, and afterwards, one rolls the entire thing up, and then places it in front of him. And then one makes the blessing of Harov Esvivenu, who quarrels our quarrels for us, and the blessing continues. It is quite a long blessing. If a mourner is the one who happens to be reading the Megillah, a different person should make the blessings because of the blessing of Shechionu, where we thank God for keeping us alive up until this day, is not really appropriate for a mourner to be saying it because someone close to this mourner has just died. If you'd base 12. With the blessing of Shechionu said during the day, then one should have intention during that blessing to also for the blessing to also go upon the other three mitzvahs, other three positive commandments that we are obligated to do during that day, which are the giving of presents to friends and acquaintances and other people, and gifts to the poor. So one is obligated to give charity. So that's Purim, and then one is also obligated to have a festive meal for Purim. Also, the one who is actually doing the reading, so the one who is reading needs to have intent while saying those blessings, that the congregation should also be able to this blessing should also go on these different commandments for the congregation as well. So basically, both the one of saying the blessings and all the people listening to the blessings need to have the same intentions. That this blessing will cover both the positive commandment of reading the Megillah that they're about to do, and also all of the commandments, other positive commandments that they're going to be doing throughout the day. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good evening.